Hello and welcome to the back office, a teardown lab. At a car boot sale today, we spotted this for 50p, and it's a Fetal Doppler machine, and I'll show you what it does. You just turn it on and put the volume up, and you probably can just about hear the noise. But if I take this and put it on my chest under my shirt, so while you can see it says 123 on the gauge, that's supposed to be the beats per minute. I can assure you I'm not running at that frequency right now. So clearly this is designed to pick up the sound of a baby. Well, I say baby, maybe a baby's heart, but more like a fetus's heart. And that's what it would be calibrated for, and then why it's reading this strange number. But I thought it'd be curious to have a look inside it, and I thought I will make a prediction on this 50p purchase. There'll be a PCB in here with not much on it other than FPGA or similar chip, and inside here I think it will look like a piezo speaker in that end. That's my prediction, but let's see, I'm probably wrong. But I've always been fascinated by things like this, and I think maybe the introduction of cheap digital audio processors allowed them to actually happen, because I suspect they're not really picking up quite what you expect them to pick up. So when I was at university, I signed up for a test where they were using all this sort of equipment on me, and they were putting it on my I think on my wrist somewhere, and then showing me a picture on the screen, and it could like detect blood flow, and you could hear the blood flow through your arm from it. So it's quite interesting. But I think there's a lot of processing on there. And what you hear initially is, I think that's why it starts off quiet and gets louder and louder. It's almost like the system dials into the frequency of the pulse, like it hears it, and then it starts overlapping the playbacks or something like that to increase the amplitude. There's definitely something going on. It's not just like a sensitive microphone listening at your chest. So we have quite a large speaker for a device, you know, from the Far East, just probably just a few quid. You've got a decent, I think it was like an RJ12 type port, and it's going through LM324s, whatever they are. So they're obviously conditioning something. They're probably just driving this for a bit of power, and then obviously picking up the response. It's working like a radar. It's sending a signal out and then detecting that back, bat ear style. And then all the work's being done by this main chip, which is running at 8 megahertz, which is a F6432 AQBN of all things. Some sort of processor, but there is next to it another little itty bitty crystal there too, so that is going into that chip, and also this big crystal. So it looks like this maybe has got two clock sources, so this is probably giving it that 3 megahertz, because if you saw on the front it said 3 megahertz. You're like, what's 3 megahertz? Well, that'll be the frequency that this will be running at, so it's probably using that as a reference for the transducer. So groovy stuff, and then just probably a bunch of conditioning and power supply junk, whatever. We never go into that much detail anyway, eh? Let's get into this end though. This is the kind of curious one. Place your bets now. What do you think is going to be in here? Maybe it'll be a bit like those ones in the old car alarms. If anybody from the 80s remembers car alarms, those ultrasonic sensors are in like this big old can. You'd get them from Argos or wherever, like Cobra alarms, and it would sit on the back of your parcel shelf. Oh, well, I'm kind of right, but also very wrong in many respects. So you actually have a 3 megahertz timing crystal in here, and there is some stuff on this. It's a real PCB, so I think we have to dig a little bit further. So this is doing quite a lot of stuff. And in fact, there's only 4 wires going to the unit, so there'll be some conditioning going on in here. It's on a nice little PCB that is removable, so we can just pop it out. So, and again another LM324 on here, so we really must look up an LM324. And there you go, it's a quad op amp with true differential inputs apparently. So it's an amplifier. So this thing's got at least 3 of these in here. They're amplifying obviously the very tiniest signals that these things will be generating. But what's interesting about this is that actually you have 2 pieces of piezo in here, but it's hard to tell on the camera. They're ever so slightly angled. So this one is sitting flat, yeah, flat to this face, but this one is actually aimed, so it's coming in rather than flat like that, it's tilted. So it's going to be coming at an angle. So one's going to be transmitting, and then it's going to hit your heart, your moving object, and then that will be being received by the receiver on that side. And if we turn this over, yeah, you can see though which one is a receiver and which one's the transmitter if we unwind it. So the transmitter is TX. It's weird actually. Let me just pick apart these wires. They're a bit confusing the way they are. There we go. Huh. So that's not what you'd expect. So you have TX here and RX, but the red wire of the TX goes to here, but the black wire of the TX goes there, and then the RX. So maybe it doesn't quite mean what I think it means. That word, that might not mean what you think it means. But there's everything else is just regular passives, nothing too interesting. But yeah, put it all together and you've got something that can listen to a baby's heart. Now I do wonder though why it does misread the BPM. I did have a go at this on my kids, and I was absolutely shocked with the result on kids because they came through so much louder. And I speculate that's down to there being a lot less chest meat on there, or perhaps they just have, you know, louder hearts. Could be that too. But yeah, they were sounding powerful. Now doctors and the like in hospitals can probably use these to listen out for different things in your heart. So if you've got like a heart murmur and all those things, they'll be using variations on this technology. It's just amazing that it's become so simple that it could just be so mainstream now that you can just go to Argos and buy one of these. And to be honest, buy something of a reasonable quality. The plastics aren't too bad. I think I've seen these for, you know, maybe somewhere between the £20 to £40 price range, and at that you wouldn't really expect anything in terms of the plastics. I mean, it's obviously not the best, but it's absolutely adequate. Something I haven't tried yet is at the top you can see there's a headphone output too, so if you did want to record what you find, you could easily hook that up to your PC and have a record, and possibly you could do some analysis with it by using these straight into a PC, and you could use some audio processing software to see what you can hear. Now I did have a play with this on touching it on different things, and I'll show you now. It's not like hello. So you think it's kind of could be like a microphone, but not really. So here's an interesting example. It's held up to my chest, right? If I move it around, I can create a bit of noise, yeah? So it sounds a bit like a normal microphone. However, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prod my, I guess, right side of my man boob, like my man nipple, and listen what happens when I kind of flex my skin, and I'm you hear that? Now I can assure you that's not really making a sound that I could hear audibly. I'm literally just pressing my skin, but as I press it, you know, like that, you can hear it. So it's clearly, you know, affecting the sound path through your skin somehow, and that's how it's picking up stuff. It's a marvel. It really is. I mean, if you're a clinician or something, yeah, please comment down below, see if that's how it works. But for now, I think that's the fullest extent of the scientific analysis we do. We didn't really do any analysis on anything, but if you find one in a car boot sale for 50p, I would pick one up. It's definitely, well, I have. I just noticed something here which is kind of useful. Look, it appears that there may have been variants which have a USB port. Now, I don't think it's anything exciting like a data capture or a record function. I think it's probably just going to have a rechargeable battery. But yeah, I might have a look on the interwebs and see what the USB variant would have. But just in case you wanted to know what the part number was, it is here. A TK-T80-220-20111701001000. And with that breathless reading, I'll be off. Thanks for watching.